There are some people who inspire you very deep. Now, these are the people when they touch their life, you have a desire to do something which will make them happy. And I have been blessed to know him for the past 4 years. And every time I meet him, I have this desire to do something in life which will make him very proud. In his own way, he has been mentoring me in the last 4 years. When I have doubts, I have approached him and I've asked him. And in a conversation we had a few months ago, where I requested him to come and be with us for this morning, I asked him a question on how do you define leadership, or what's the best way to be a leader? And his answer will stay with me for the rest of my life. He said, a leader's biggest responsibility and the most important responsibility is he hands over his work to somebody who will do a much better job than he was doing. And that is what leads to success. That is what leads to momentum. That is what leads to a huge impact. A leader's responsibility is not only to do his job and pass it on to somebody else, but pass it on to somebody on whom he has confidence. He will do a much better job than he would do. There are a lot of achievements which are there around his name, but I am not going to tell you that. Because for me, it's the human being and the touch of the human being which is so important. Very genuine, very honest, very sharp, and to me, a very, very motivational person. Please welcome onto the dais our dear friend, Kumar Gera.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very thinking day. I was told and cautioned by somebody that you've accepted Naren's invitation and you'll be speaking after Naren. Are you aware of that? And after hearing him, I understood what I was being cautioned about, but that's okay. Not my problem, yours. He mentioned something about, when I asked him what should I be speaking about, he said, whatever you feel like. This is what we are. It's up to you. Then he threw in the word motivation. That was another challenge. How the hell do you motivate people who get up on a Sunday morning before 6 o'clock to be here at 8 o'clock? I can't motivate you. No chance. I mean, it's a clear demonstration, announcement, and a statement of I am motivated. Sunday morning, all of you? My wife thought I was crazy. She's got used to my going off for golf at those hours. But to go out and speak. So, you might notice that I have a problem speaking after him. I have a problem of being required to motivate people who are already motivated. But I want to drop that word problem because many years ago, I decided never to use the word problem. And I have always replaced it with the word challenge. If your wife is a problem, change it to challenge. If your mother-in-law is a problem, change it to a challenge. you'll see it differently if your child is a problem. Just don't use the word problem. So, Naren, I'm taking up the challenge. I was thinking about what to speak, and I came across one word that evokes different and simultaneous reactions amongst people. And the reactions it evokes, they range from humor to outrage to anger to disgust to admiration to passion. Can anybody guess the word? It's Trump. Think about it. Seeing your motivation, seeing how what you all are doing, I truly feel, and I'm not saying this just to make you feel good, I genuinely and truly feel that each of you have been designed for accomplishment. You've been engineered for success. And the seeds of greatness have been sowed in you. I genuinely believe that. It's up to you to make all this happen. Naren, you're a person I greatly admire. You're a motivator. You're compassionate. You're a mentor, a guide, a great human being. And I think you have a leader in the KMM movement, the KM movement, that can make huge changes. I do believe that. You know, I was involved. Fortunately, thankfully, Naren didn't go into all the things I've been involved with. But I was involved in a very similar organization. An organization that started in 1915. I wish it had started in India, but it started in the US. It was a worldwide organization. It was an organization that was in India and which I led at the national level in the mid-70s. And it had 500,000 members in 82 countries, which I led in 1979 on the worldwide basis. And the objectives were very similar. It was a self-development organization. It is an organization that trains young people. The difference I see is it was between the ages of 18 to 40 and not beyond that. And it created a platform for leadership development, for self-development, for setting goals, for becoming better human beings, more responsible citizens, and active to support others. It has one of the most beautiful, wonderful creeds that has ever been written, that was practiced and followed by us. But the one thing that came out then, which I'd just like to leave the connection between that organization and yours, is that please remember that the benefit and the output that you will get from KMM is equal to input multiplied by K. And K is a constant which is much more than 1. So your input will give you the benefits and others. So I wish you all well. In fact, you were talking, Naren, about 54 branches in Maharashtra, all over India. I think the numbers will increase very significantly. I don't think your boundary is India. I think you have reached a stage where you can think of beyond the Indian boundaries. Because this is what the world needs. These are the kind of initiatives which are beneficial to the individuals and beneficial to society. It's a win-win for all. And that is what I believe will make things really happen. You know, I came across a sad, depressing newspaper headline. And I kind of noted those things down, so I will refer to my notes here. In the year 2000, well, the headline said, let me tell you what the headline said 4.2 million children below age 1 die worldwide in 2016. 4.2 million children. And then the article goes on to say, before they reach the age of 1, 4.2 million children died. And then it went on to say, the article, about the evils and the reasons and the causes and so on. How do you feel about this? What is your first reaction? I think my reaction was very similar to maybe what your reactions are. But then, after doing some other research on this, my response changed and I said, wow, this is fantastic. This is great news. Now, how can anybody think like that? Even one child dying below age 1 is a tragic thing. So I'm not being callous. But when I did some research, you know what I found? I found that in the year 1950, 14.4 million children died before the age 1. And now that number has come down to 4.2 million. The more important factor was that how many children were born. In 1950, there were 97 million births. And in 2016, there are 141 million births. So 97 million births, tragically 14.4 million did not cross the age 1, 15%. Now, 141 million births, 4.2 million passed away tragically. That's 3%. It's a drop from 15% to 3%, an improvement of 500%. Why am I saying this? Why am I placing this before you? I'm placing it before you because it's how you look at things. You start off thinking this is terrible, this is a tragedy, this is disastrous, this is unacceptable. But then when you get into it, you understand, and this is part of the positivity that we are talking about. Not to say, not to rest for a minute, that that number should not, hopefully in some time of the future, come down to a 0. And that is what the world must strive for, but not getting despondent, dejected, and get into a negative state of mind. It's the same story, ladies and gentlemen, for traffic in Pune, traffic anywhere. We are all complaining about it. This is terrible. I used to take 10 minutes to reach from here to here. Now there are 4 traffic lights. Now it takes me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay? What's the positive side of it? How many more vehicles are coming onto the road? How many more people who are on bicycles, who are walking, can now afford to have 2-wheelers and 4-wheelers, and they are on our roads? Not to say that the roads should not improve, not to say that the systems and processes should not improve, but the fact that they are moving up in life, the fact that that tells us our GDP is improving, the fact that that says we are no longer in level 4 of the world, we are moving up to 3 and 2, and we will be in 1. It tells us that. You know, when I'm caught at a traffic jam, try it sometime. Crossroads, everybody cutting, red light is there, somebody's cutting, and there's a gridlock, and then it starts moving. Blood pressure is up of most people. I kind of look at it and I smile. I'm telling you honestly, try it. Think of a dance floor, ballroom dancing. You've seen those movies, the waltz and all, everybody's moving and zigzagging and going. It's exactly the same. One car will go this way, the other will go that way, they'll pass through that. Look at it and smile. You won't get blood pressure and you'll move on to your destination peacefully. The world is changing dramatically around us. But before I go to that, one other point that everybody generally complains about is the population growth. Too many people. Terrible. But do we think about the demographic dividends that India is enjoying because of our numbers? Because of the fact that we don't have to be dependent on exports only, because of our own internal consumption that keeps the country going. So, the foundation, I have believed that the foundation of success, mental attitude, and being able to do all the other things that are necessary, which I will just come to in a bit, is the foundation of positive mental attitude, positivity, and being positive about everything in life. Our world is, we are living in a very fast changing world. Everybody knows this. I mean, the changes are through digitization, mobilization, augmentation. You've got disintermediation. You would be, I was sitting with a gentleman from, what land? Yeah, Sharad, from? Microland. He knows it all. Automation. I don't even know if your children or your grandchildren will need a driver's license. They probably won't be driving the cars. Maybe there'll be flying cars. So this is the kind of world that we are living in. Robotics, artificial intelligence. The changes are dramatic. Will doctors be around, consulting doctors be around in 10 years, 15 years? I don't know. I doubt it. With these changes, this transformation, this disruptive change that is around us, there are some values, there are some ingredients, Naren, which will not be changing. I want to talk about those. I believe that these values, these needs within us, these ingredients will be leading to our happiness, our success, our prosperity at the personal levels. These will remain, no matter what. These will remain in this disruptive, changing world. And these are things that we should focus on while we embrace and get ready for the new, dynamic, changing world. Now, what are these basic areas? Just saying that I will be positive, because I said that was the foundation. Just saying that I'm a positive person, I don't think is adequate. When there is something that you perceive, when we perceive something as negative, like the 4.2 million deaths, there is a need to look beyond. There is a need to think, to do research, to not just accept it at face value because the headline, I read it in the newspaper with my own eyes. How else can you read it? So the point is we have to go beyond. Positivity is listening, but going beyond. There's a need to find that silver lining in every perceived dark cloud and not just see it as a dark cloud. Because the saying is there, every cloud has a silver lining. Whoever said it, it's come over generations. It must be true. So if it is true, then we need to find that silver lining every time. You know, I smile when my contemporaries at my age say, our world was such a beautiful place. Those were the good old days. Nowadays, it's this. I think it's utter rubbish. Total nonsense. The world was great then, the world is better now, and it'll even be better tomorrow. It's how you make it. It's how you extract from it. It's your positivity that will give you that. Yes, there are so many changes. And if you need a helping hand, just look to the end of your sleeve. Because you've got to help yourself for that. I was in South Africa in 1974. Many of you were not born. And we were sitting one evening. Those were the years of apartheid, where the blacks and the whites were segregated. I was there as an honorary white, so I was allowed to go to certain places. I had been given a badge. It was pretty terrible. I went to Soweto and all these places. But one evening we were sitting down and we were talking, and there were some whites there, and there was one or two black guys and a couple of us in between. And we were just chatting. And a story came up that I was told. It has kind of stayed in my mind ever since, and I thought you might like to hear this story. The story goes like this, that there's a balloon seller, gas balloon seller, standing on the street and has multicolored, different colored balloons of all colors. And he's on the beach, not on the street, he was on the beach. And children would come up, mostly white children, and would give him a penny or whatever it is and buy the balloon. And to get a crowd attracted, every now and then he would let one go. So the balloon would go into the sky and some more customers would come. The story goes on to say that suddenly one young 4 or 5-year-old black boy came and spoke to the balloon salesman and said, "Sir, you have got a black balloon there. If you leave it, will that also go up?" Now, keep in mind that he has been living in this environment of total segregation, where the blacks were not even allowed to go to certain toilets. Of course, they had to live in a different area. They were not allowed in many areas. And he was about 4 or 5. So he asked a very innocent question, and the balloon salesman smiled and told him, he said, "Son, this balloon goes up because of what's inside it. And it will go up. So it's what's inside you that takes you up." And that kind of has stayed in my mind for a very long time. And I'm always trying to find out what are the things that we require to have inside us to make us go up. And when I say go up, I mean to have success, to enjoy success, to be happy, to be prosperous, and to be useful. These are the things that you require to move up. And if I get into the ingredients, you all know it. You know that the ingredients are knowledge, passion, a fire in the belly, integrity, honesty, hard work, perseverance. These are all things we hear about all the time. We know about it. So I'm not going to delve into it. But I want to come back to the similarity between what you're doing in KMM. I read that little in the book that Naren gave me about molding clay. I look at it a little differently. I think all of us at a young age and even later are like rough, uncut diamonds. Why am I using the word diamond? Because diamond is an expensive, high value item. But a rough, uncut diamond is not as expensive as a diamond that goes to the diamond factory, to the experts who cut that diamond, shape it, shine it, and polish it, and get the right cuts for that diamond and create a much higher value to it. I think the KMM movement does that. The organization that I was in was doing that for the members. And I think that is the very purpose and essence of what our objectives are for that self-development and what the potential is by the various courses, by the various interactions, by actually doing things that you hear about, by having the opportunity to do things, make mistakes, learn from them, and that cut and polish and shine keeps improving. There was a reference made to this, and I had thought I would also like to refer to it because it's so important, that the greatest gift that the Almighty has given to us, you know what it is? It's the gift of choice. We can choose. There is no greater gift that we have been given. Our circumstances may be different, our circumstances may be challenging, whatever it is, but it's your right, your opportunity, your freedom to choose how you want to act. And we are free to make our choices. And funnily enough, the choices we make, they lead to actions. And I'm sure you've heard the saying that is rightly said, as you sow an action, you reap a habit. As you sow this habit, you reap a character. And as you sow your character, you reap your destiny. So, my friends, your destiny, our destiny, emanates from the choices you make and the actions you take. All up to us, entirely up to us. तकदीर है, लिखा हुआ है, मैं क्या करूं? Naseeb. Is it really that? I'm sure it is that. I'm sure the stars are playing their own role independently. But there's something more about that we have to do ourselves. I mentioned earlier that there are various ingredients, and I didn't go into that because each of these topics can be a 2-day, 3-day discussion, seminar, techniques, methodologies to implement, build up, each of them. What we're trying to do today is instant coffee. But I'd now like to come to what I believe, what I have experienced, what I've tried to practice as the most important of all this, the me and you as individuals, as a person. It's my personal belief that I'm sharing with you that the most important, the most gratifying situation is that there are 6 areas that we need to develop as individuals to achieve that, I won't say nirvana, but achieve that state of well-being and happiness in the course of our lives. I'm running out of time, so I will run through this quickly. The 6 areas are our development areas within us. They are family life. Our families, I'm talking about your relationship with family members, immediate family, extended family, grandparents whom you are not meeting for a long time, who may suddenly be gone, cousins, of course, immediate family. Your rapport, your relationship, your understanding, your love, your care, mutual. Your physical condition, your health, the development of your physical abilities and condition of your health. Intellectual, financial, spiritual, and social. What I have found that if a person grows in 5 out of these 6 areas, that happiness, that thing might be eluding him. Unless there is a balanced growth in all 6, you're financially stable, you have good health, you have a happy family, you're spiritually inclined, and spiritual means different things to different people, whatever be your spiritual beliefs. You're socially involved, accepted. If all these 6 grow, and they can grow through a process, through a system, through a scientific, I won't say scientific, but through a process, which covers examining yourself today, doing an introspection, where are you in each of these areas? There are some hard questions that come up, very hard questions. Will you have adequate funds when your kids get married? Will you have adequate funds when you retire? That's the financial part of it. There are very hard questions that come up in this, and then you analyze those questions, you see where you are, you work out a plan of action, where you would like to be. It's totally confidential, it's just for yourself, you're not talking about it to others, and you find the solutions, you find the way forward in each of the areas, and you try to develop yourself in those areas. So, if the growth happens in a balanced way, I have found, and I've tried to do this, and I have said no to many things because it was going off balance. There was too much emphasis going into one area. I've said no to that, and I've tried to do this. I've delayed some things, but it has given me great joy in focusing on these 6 areas. Naren, thank you very much for having invited me here today. It's been a great learning for me being present here, listening to you, and understanding how you all are doing the great things that you all are doing. I wish you all continuing success and immense growth beyond the national boundaries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.